the celebrations to come. So now here, no further delay, Mr. James B. Hanowitz, President Hanowitz.
Thank you so much, Ben, and thank you, Ho-Young. It's really a pleasure and a delight here. It's one of the things that I think about. I came back after nearly 30 years in China to lead China Institute. China Institute was founded 90 years ago. And the foundation and the mission and the purpose for China Institute, I think, has never been more important than now. In my own view, the reason I came back is I believe that the United States and China are probably, for the next chunk of time, the two most important countries on this planet. And frankly, we're not really good friends. The reason that we're not good friends is because we don't really trust each other enough. The reason, in my view, that we don't trust each other enough is because we don't have a deep enough understanding of each other. And how do we achieve a deeper understanding of each other? We do it through our culture, through our education, through our business, through all the different human touch points that impact each and every one of us. The people that walk through the doors of China Institute really deeply care about this. And I hope that we can help them and bring them together and connect them in that meaningful way. I did want to say a couple more thanks. I had already thanked Ben, our illustrious and famous teacher. He's clearly a lot more famous than I am. Just ask any one of the many students that have studied with him, as well as Dr. Ho-Young. I wanted to thank the SUNY College of Optometry for hosting us here, and to thank also my trustees that came in support, if they're here. Didi Pei in the back, thank you, Chairman of China Institute, Sophia Sheng and Yvonne Wong, as well as the where? Oh, May is here too. I didn't see you. 欢迎欢迎，谢谢，太好了。So, as Ben said, we're celebrating 90 years of China Institute with a week long of celebrations, one more exciting than the next. We have our ribbon cutting of the gallery, which is also celebrating 50 years of China Institute with dignitaries. We have the ambassador coming. We've got our own mayor, Bill de Blasio, coming. So it's wonderful to see the support coming from both governments as well as at the human level. Followed by which we've got China's #1 designer, Guo Pei, the chairman of Disney, the chairman of IMAX being honored at our 90th gala on the 27th of September. And then on the 28th, more VIP openings, ribbon cuttings, and I encourage you all to visit the China Institute website to learn more. One last note, I think that Renwen and its mission to keep things alive, today is kind of an anomaly. I said to Dr. Ho and to Ben, don't I get to speak a little Chinese today? It's a Renwen event. Renwen 全部都是用中文。但是今天好像大家都是用英文。
您的中文说那么棒，下回啊，我们人文有活动的话，就请您特别做一个中文演讲。
好，可以了，谢谢，不用过奖了。我想这么好的一位老师，我中文肯定就更好了。好吧，那就这样子了，非常的感谢。
I wanted to show him off. I was so impressed with his Chinese. The first time, I will never get over the shock. I will never recover from the first shock that I met James.
You're doing pretty well. You look pretty good.
I speak Chinese all right, but my English, so-so. So I know that you will bear with me. Now, before I present to you our next speaker, we at Renwen would like to thank the Confucius Institute at the State University of New York College of Optometry for being our co-sponsor, providing this lovely theater for this important event. So it is with thankfulness in my heart that I present to you Dr. David A. Heath, President of our partnering institution, the State University of New York College of Optometry is a well-known academic and medical institution in New York, an eminent scholar and medical authority nationally and internationally. Dr. He was awarded China's highest honor for foreigners. The China Friendship Award in 2010 for his brilliant work there with Wenzhou Medical University and a broader medical university system to enhance access to eye care. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. David A. Heath.
Thank you very, very much for that wonderful introduction. I promise not to shock you with my Chinese.
We'll see.
Good afternoon, and I want to welcome everybody to the State University of New York College of Optometry. I would like to begin certainly by congratulating both the China Institute as well as the Renwen Society for this celebration, but also on your 90th anniversary, a wonderful accomplishment, and certainly an institution with great, great impact, not just in New York, but around the world. Now, most of you probably don't know us very well, but the State University of New York College of Optometry, we're dedicated to educating doctors of optometry, advancing eye and vision care through research and graduate education, and caring for communities. What's often not known is our dedication is a global dedication and a dedication overseas. And China has been one of our biggest partners, and in particular the Wenzhou Medical University. I have had the opportunity to be working with the medical universities in China for over 25 years. And I say that not to share so much of my background as much as to share my perspective and appreciation for how important individuals and families like Dr. Chao and his family are, both for individuals, for organizations, for higher education, and for international relations. There's so much that needs to be done and can be done without your generosity. And so today, in celebrating what is the first Lifetime Achievement Award, certainly from what I have read and what I've heard, I cannot think that there would be a more deserving individual. So on behalf of the entire State University of New York, as well as this college, please accept my congratulations and thank you for inviting us to be a part of this celebration.
Thank you, Dr. He. I'm very excited to introduce the next speaker. Now, it's my pleasure, total pleasure, to introduce to you the next speaker who in great kindness introduced our honoree today and his family to the Renwen Society. And she herself is the spirit and soul of Renwen Society. I'm proud to present to you our indispensable driving force of the society, my friend, Mrs. Gwyn Tuan.
Down my remarks. There's a time limit, but there's just so much to say about Dr. Chao and the Chao family that I hope I will not be too long.
Don't cut.
Today, we are most privileged and simply delighted to welcome 3 members of the Chao family to honor Dr. James Si-Cheng Chao and celebrate the Chao family. Dr. Chao, Secretary Elaine Chao, and Ms. May Chao will share with us their experiences as an immigrant family and the challenges they encounter to achieve their personal American dreams. Following their remarks, they will take part in a Q&A. Regrettably, Christine, Grace, and Angela Chao are unable to join us on this occasion. Dr. James Si-Cheng Chao is an acknowledged leader in international shipping and finance. He was born in a small village outside of Shanghai to parents who emphasized the value of education. At the age of 29, Dr. Chao was among the youngest sea captains of that time. His exceptional grade in the National Master Mariner examination was the highest recorded even to this day, and was a key factor in providing him the opportunity to study in the United States. After earning a master's in business administration degree from St. John's University in New York City, Dr. Chao founded Foremost Maritime Corporation, which later evolved into the Foremost Group, where he still serves as the chairman. Under Dr. Chao's leadership and management, Foremost Group became a global leader in promoting sustainability through the adoption of environmentally friendly ship designs and technology. For his contribution to the domestic and international maritime industry, Dr. Chao was inducted into the International Maritime Hall of Fame at the United Nations May of 2004. James Chao and Ruth Mulan Zhu fled separately to Taiwan from China in the late 1940s. They met and married. Despite many challenges, James and Ruth Chao never lost their steadfast belief in the promise of America. That hope, optimism, and the close-knit family they created provided the foundation that empowered their daughters to thrive in their new country. Throughout their lives, Dr. and Mrs. Chao emphasized the importance of family, faith, education, hard work, self-discipline, self-sacrifice, self-reliance, determination, service, and contribution to their community and society. Dr. and Mrs. Chao are lifelong inspirations to their daughters, Elaine, Jeanette, May, Christine, Grace, and Angela. In 2007, Mrs. Ruth Mulan Zhu Chao passed away after a valiant 7-year battle of her illness. In a statement following his beloved wife's passing, Dr. Chao noted that Ruth and I were married for 57 years before she returned to the Lord on August 2nd, 2007. My wife is the love of my life and my soulmate. Despite a busy career, Dr. Chao always found time to serve the numerous boards, including as a trustee of St. John's University Board of Governors. Dr. Chao and his late wife dedicated their lives to promoting the values of education, volunteerism, and philanthropy. Through the generous scholarships provided by the Shanghai Mulan Education Foundation and other Chao family philanthropies, more than 5,000 American and Chinese students have been given the opportunity to widen their horizons. In recognition of his lifelong contributions to the university and dedication to education, St. John's conferred its most prestigious award, the Medal of Honor, upon Dr. Chao, who remains as trustee emeritus of St. John's University. Dr. Chao is an active supporter of many other academic institutions with which he has been associated. As an alumnus, he served in Jiao Tong University's Alumni Association in America for 11 years. and also chair the university's Alumni Foundation in America. Throughout his career, Dr. Chao has received numerous academic, professional, and prestigious civic awards, including the Ellis Island Award with his daughter, U.S. Secretary of Labor, Elaine Chao, as well as honored and awarded by the Horatio Alger Association of Distinguished Americans, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the New York Community Times, the International Leadership Foundation, and the Asian American community for his many, many contributions. Following the passing of his beloved wife, Ruth, he has chosen to celebrate her life and legacy through his philanthropic giving. Dr. Chao sponsored the Mulan Marine Simulation Memorial Building at Shanghai Maritime University, the world's first state-of-the-art 360-degree marine simulation training center. He also endowed Jiao Tong University in Shanghai with the Ruth Mulan Chu Chao building, a 10-story structure that is a vital and vibrant part of the university's campus. On June 6, 2016, Harvard President Drew Faust presided over the dedication of the Ruth Mulan Chu Chao Center, the first building named after a woman, and the first building named after an Asian American in Harvard's 380-year history. The center was made possible through a generous gift announced during the 50th anniversary of the admission of women in Harvard's full-time MBA program by Dr. James Si-Cheng Chao and Family Foundation. The center is a tribute to the life and legacy of the beloved late matriarch of this extraordinary and exemplary family, the only one in the Harvard Business School's history to have had 4 daughters attend. The center will anchor the executive education programs at the school. The gift also established the Ruth Mulan Chu and James Si-Cheng Chao Family Fellowship Fund, which has a particular emphasis on helping students of Chinese background or ancestry. The Chao daughters' generosity was inspired not just by their personal connections to HBS, but by their mother's passion for education, who once said, "The best dowry for my daughters is education." She earned her own long-delayed master's degree in Asian literature and history at age 53. On a personal note, when Dr. Chao was working closely with my father, he was asked by my father to first pay a dinner bill for him, since he would be busy thanking departing guests. Dr. Chao did just that, but it was not until almost a year after that occasion, my sister's wedding, that my father realized to his mortifying embarrassment that he had not only forgotten to give him the money to his friend to pay the restaurant at the time, but it completely slipped his mind to repay him after the dinner. During the space of that time, Dr. Chao never mentioned this to my father. The dinner bill was not large, but for a new immigrant family, it was exorbitant. Dr. Chao was and is that kind of person and friend. The next speaker following Dr. Chao from the Chao family will be May Chao. May Chao is the second Chao family member to speak today, the third daughter of Dr. and Mrs. James Chao, who came to America with her mother and 2 elder sisters, Elaine and Jeanette. May graduated with high honors as a Wellesley College scholar in 3 years and earned an MBA degree from Harvard Business School. In 2002, she was appointed by New York Governor George Pataki to serve as chair and executive director of the New York State Consumer Protection Board. Ms. Chao also worked as a vice president at the Foremost Group. After the passing of her beloved mother, May Chao co-authored a book on recovering from grieving, entitled Good from Grief, in 2013. An active volunteer and philanthropist, Ms. Chao serves on the Harvard Business School Alumni Board. She and her husband, Jeffrey Wong, are the proud parents of twin daughters. The last speaker from the Chao family will be the Honorable Elaine Chao, the 24th U.S. Secretary of Labor from 2001 to 2009. She's the first Asian American to serve in the President's Cabinet in American history. Under Secretary Chao's leadership, the advancement and inclusion of the Asian American community was made a top priority of the Department of Labor. In 2003, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a part of the U.S. Department of Labor, began reporting employment data on Asians in America in its own separate category, a historic first. Born in Taiwan, the eldest daughter of James and Ruth Mulan Chu Chao, Elaine Chao immigrated to the United States when she was 8 years old in 1961. Her father had moved to America when she was 5 years old, and he was a college student in New York who worked 3 jobs to bring his family to America. Secretary Chao, her mother, and 2 younger sisters came to join him in Jamaica, Queens, New York, after a 30-day freighter voyage from Hong Kong to Los Angeles. As she described this, when I was just a little girl, my father had a dream of a better life for our family that took him across the Pacific Ocean to a land called America. 3 long years passed, and I boarded a freighter to join my father here. It wasn't the Mayflower, it wasn't the Love Boat, but it brought us to this magical country and reunited our family. Though she knew no English when she arrived in America, she learned it by copying author lessons from the blackboard into a notebook. Her father helped her understand the words when he came home from work. Education and hard work were important to this family, which eventually included 3 more sisters. Secretary Chao's experience transitioning to a new country has motivated her to dedicate most of her professional life to ensuring that all people have the opportunity to build better lives. As the first U.S. Secretary of Labor in the 21st century, Elaine Chao focused on improving the competitiveness of America's workforce by restructuring department programs to empower workers and modernizing regulations to respond to the realities of the 21st century workplace. Under her leadership, the U.S. Department of Labor achieved record results in protecting the health, safety, wages, and retirement security of the nation's workforce. Secretary Chao's distinguished career spanned the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. She was President and CEO of United Way of America, Director of the Peace Corps, Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation, Chair of the Federal Maritime Commission. She has also worked in the private sector at Bank of America and Citicorp when she first started working. Secretary Chao received her MBA from the Harvard Business School and an economics degree from Mount Holyoke College. Recognized with innumerable awards for her public and community service, she is the recipient of at least 35 honorary doctorate degrees from colleges and universities across the globe. She has been a popular speaker on jobs, the economy, and U.S. competitiveness issues. She serves on a number of corporate and non-profit boards. No matter how successful Elaine Chao became, she never forgot her roots as a young immigrant in the United States and how that experience affected her. A former colleague said about Elaine Chao, she once showed me a picture of her parents and sisters and said, "This is when we lived in a one-bedroom apartment and I thought we were rich." Her background instilled in her that she could succeed in anything, and she has. I'm almost done. Sorry. Quoting former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice about Elaine Chao, "You stay focused on the job at hand. You stay focused on your dedication to making the United States a better place. The best public servants are able to do that, and Elaine fits into that category of one of the best public servants I've known. The first Kentuckian named to the President's Cabinet since 1945, Secretary Chao is married to the United States Senate Majority Leader, Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. A splendid video was created by Harvard Business School for the recent dedication of the Ruth Mulan Chao Center. We are delighted to be able to share with you today. After seeing it, you will understand the words and sentiments of the Dean of the school, Nitin Noria. The Chao family is the embodiment of the American dream, and we are humbled by their generosity.
That applause was for your extraordinary speech.
Oh, no.
It wasn't to rush you.
Oh, I'm sorry I took so long.
No, not at all. Wow. To say that introduction about the great man and the family,
Thank you so much.
It's an honor, Your Honor.
an extraordinary introduction, is an understatement. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know this much about the family. Now I feel more honored, so I try to do a better job. I think now we have come to watching something. What do you think we will watch? We will watch the video, a testament of what Dr. Chao and the wonderful family he has led, has been through. And I believe this was taken at Harvard, am I right? Yeah,
Right. Harvard Business School.
Harvard Business School. I myself, I have been looking forward to seeing it. So I will be watching it for the first time with you. So now, shall we begin?
Yeah, okay.
I want to tell everybody that to interrupt the event with applause is totally accepted.
So one way in which one can understand the evolution of business is to just walk through Harvard Business School and see the names of the buildings of Harvard Business School. So you start with J.P. Morgan, you start with Mr. Baker. These were people who were pioneers of American business at the turn of the century. When Harvard Business School was first founded. As we now enter our second century, you think about the frontiers of business. This building is so important is that we now have the name of a very important Chinese family on this campus. Even though we are here in America on the banks of the Charles, we're a great global institution, and this is a symbol of the globalization that Harvard Business School represents.
small farm village, and it's only 9 families. The Japanese invaded China, and we are in the front. The war is terrible. Whole village destroyed. So our family suffered a loss. First 2 years, to be honest, it's like a human. Only trying to survive. After 1949, I was sent on the ship as a cadet. But unfortunately, Civil War in China and Shanghai was blocked. So I couldn't go back to China anymore. It's total turmoil. Lost lots of people's life. So I thought this is not the way China should have it. As a citizen, let's study well, hopefully build a new world in China. So I started to study hard. I not only passed the examination, I broke all the records in China.
My mother saw that he was a young man with great potential. He achieved the rank of captain, sea captain, at the very tender age of 29. She had tremendous love for him, she believed in him, and it's a wonderful love story.
So I told her one thing. I said, Mona, I love you. I really love you. I love you for life. I pledge that. So she was prepared because she married a navigate. He married a seaman. And my wife, and strong enough, smart enough, clever enough, and she supported me, asked me to come here.
When my father came to America, my mother was already 7 months pregnant with me, her third child. So she basically raised us by herself until my father could bring us over to America.
It took my father 3 long years before he was able to bring us to America. And we came aboard a ship, and it took 37 days ocean journey before we arrived in New York. Our initial years in America were very difficult. My father held 3 jobs. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. We didn't speak English. We couldn't eat the food. The culture was different. But my parents were such optimistic people. We were very happy because we were together, reunited as a family. We were in America, the land of opportunity. Hey, life's good.
Oh, my family is a wonderful illustration of the American dream. I think about how they left a war-torn country, crossed an ocean, left family and friends and everything familiar behind, all in search for a better life.
So my parents are extraordinary people. I think you're starting to get a sense of the incredible and deep love that they have for one another. And they were always optimistic, and they always were hand in hand, looking forward, walking forward, together, as a team, as a partnership.
This is wedding day. We went to the studio.
My mother was this incredibly loving, thoughtful, kind, generous, and wise person. And she was always encouraging and supportive of people's ideas and their dreams, most of all.
She was very unassuming, never wanted to be in the spotlight, but her influence and her presence was always felt. She had a steadfast faith and a very strong moral compass.
So my father saw my mother as an equal partner. He really treasured their relationship. And he used her as an advisor, as a matter, of course, during business matters, in personal matters.
Not only know her, but with always respect.
At 53, my mother finally pursued her lifelong dream of furthering her education. She received her master's, but she was really thrilled to be back in the classroom, to be back on campus, to be back in school.
This family represents triumph over hardship, great love that binds a family together, a great commitment to making sure that the next generation does better yet, a recognition that education is a way to improve one's life, and a commitment to now paying forward, to be philanthropic, to recognize that this great American dream is a dream that should be made possible and available to others yet, and through this gift, to try and make that opportunity available for many, many generations of students in the future.
Almost every one of the big gifts that an institution like the Harvard Business School gets, it goes back a long way. It starts with a remarkable family, the Chaos, who had 6 remarkable daughters, 4 of whom came to the Harvard Business School.
I met Dr. Chao when I and Dean Light and Dick Spangler actually went to New York to meet with Dr. Chao and the family to talk about this opportunity as we hoped it would be. But there wasn't a single building at Harvard Business School at that time named for an Asian, not a single building in the entire university till now named for a Chinese American family. And there wasn't a single building anywhere in the university named for a woman. This was a chance to make a statement in multiple directions and to be part of the future of Harvard University and Harvard Business School.
This is a splendid gift from the Chao family, and it is much needed at Harvard Business School to help expand an already successful executive education program, in that these future students will be leaders across the world who will come right here to the Chao Summit to learn from May Chao and from Harvard Business School professors.
The story of this family is so compelling. A family that really makes itself from very modest background into one of the great shipping companies and shipping families in the world.
Foremost Group is an international shipping company specializing in dry bulk carriers. So my parents started this company shortly after coming to America, really because my father couldn't get hired. He had a thick Chinese accent, he didn't know anybody, nobody could trust him or knew to trust him because they didn't know about his background or have any relationships. So he was here all on his own, and he had a wife, 3 children to support, and he desperately wanted to bring them to America.
So the Chao family is a great example of the power of leadership. In so many spheres of life, they have been ambassadors that have built the bridge between China and the United States, 2 economies who together will shape the future of the world. So we're so proud to have the legacy of this leadership be represented on our campus.
My parents are very grateful to America for the opportunities that this country has offered us. And that's the reason for their philanthropy. To cultivate and develop a new generation of leaders.
The Chao Family Fellowship is my family's way of contributing and helping the next generation. And I hope the Chao Fellows and the Chao Scholars are inspired by my parents' story because they will find so much strength. And I hope that they also know that they continue to inspire us as well.
So the building has a remarkable location. It's at the very edge of Harvard Way, which is the main thoroughfare of Harvard Business School. And now I think it's going to be at the intersection of another very important thoroughfare, which is going to be people traveling from Harvard University across the bridge into our campus as they connect to the spectacular new campus that Harvard is going to have in Wilson as well. So we really tried very hard to make sure that our architects understood how important it was for this building, given its location, to be true to the old McKim, Mead and White plan. There's another side of the building which relates to Tower Hall and a more contemporary building. So the building has this dual capacity, which is in the front it looks as if it was a part of Harvard Business School for its 100 years. And through its back, it has this invitation, which is a more glass, transparent invitation that says, this is the Harvard Business School of the 21st century as well.
In some respects, it was an enormous design challenge. First of all, we know that we're a destination, and a destination where people are so eager and proud to be here. And so how that all plays out in terms of how you're received, how it's open, how it facilitates movement, what its interior designs are, where it's comfortable, it's conducive to conversation, where do you sit, where do you linger. All of those pieces actually play into just pulling the academics together, and those are the kind of conversations we had deeply with the architect. There's an intensity that comes with the academic programs here.
So you spend more capital expenditures on learning less.
And just the pedagogy with case-based learning, it's discussion, it's enriched by people bringing their points of view. So there's a real intensity to what happens in the classroom. What happens outside of the classroom? People want to continue the dialogue, they want to engage with each other about what they just learned. There's no other space like this within Harvard University, so we're really excited to see what that does in terms of building the community, because we know it's just going to change things enormously.
How wonderful it is of my father to honor his wife with this Ruth Mulan Shu Chao Center at Harvard Business School.
So 2013 was a landmark year at Harvard Business School. It marked the 50th year of women being admitted to Harvard Business School. We had a major celebration. The highlight of that celebration was being able to announce this gift.
And I take a special pleasure in the representation of so much of the power of women in this family that this building will represent in its name and in its origins.
Board orders honoring them out of board orders who went to Harvard Business School. To mark this moment where we reminded ourselves that only 50 years ago was the first time that we admitted women to Harvard Business School.
People walk into this building, I want them to feel inspired. To generate and stimulate new ideas, new perspectives, new ways of thinking of things. They know that they can make a difference, because they can, we all can.
Harvard Business School has a unique opportunity to educate future leaders. And it is our family's dream that within these walls will arise the next generation of leaders.
My parents believed you should dream big, and that the world was an enormous place full of possibilities and full of opportunities, and that it was your job to go out and seek them. There's a phrase that my parents would always use with us. In Chinese, it's, look to the east, look to the west. And it's about being observant, understanding your environment, staying alert, and just opening your eyes and seeing what a big, beautiful world this really could be. And also finding a place for yourself in that world, and how you could hopefully contribute to it in one way in the future.
This represents something quite unique in terms of the Chao family and the Chao family name representing a global name. There's something quite powerful in that.
My experience at HBS has been wonderful. It would not have been possible without the Chao Fellowship. Thank you to the Chao family for giving me this incredible opportunity to come to HBS.
I want to thank the Chao family for giving me this opportunity to pursue my MBA at HBS, to give me the opportunity to give back to the Chinese community in the future.
I want to thank the Chao family for their wonderful generosity and kindness that enabled me to pursue my dream at HBS.
I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you from me, from all the deans you've worked with, and from this institution as a whole. We deeply thank you for the gift you've given us.
On behalf of the faculty, of the students, of the staff, past, present, and in particular future of Harvard Business School, let me say to the Chao family, thank you very much. 非常非常感谢.
On behalf of everyone in this community, I wanted to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. James Chao, to Ruth Mulan Shu Chao, who I wish I had the opportunity to meet, the Chao sisters and everyone in their family for this truly magnificent gift. This will forever transform Harvard Business School's campus and will create a space where generations of leaders will develop themselves. Thank you.
Wow, what a video. Are you as impressed as I am with this?
Yes.
Thanks to Dr. Chao and his family. We got to see this video, which is so inspiring. Now, before the next segment starts, I'm going to do something, but I won't tell you what I'm going to do, because I'm going to say something first. Now, to express our great admiration for you, Dr. Chao, the Renwen Society hereby respectfully presents some little thing to you. Before I say what it is, I won't let the cat out of the bag. Instead, I wish to invite Dr. Chao and his wonderful family and Mr. James Hanowitz, the president of China Institute, and Didi Pei, the president of chairperson of the Board of Trustees of China Institute, to come upstage to join me. Would you please do that? I should appreciate it. And my guests first. So let me do this again. So to express our great admiration for you, Dr. Chao, the Renwen Society hereby respectfully presents its very first Lifetime Achievement Award to you for all that you have brilliantly accomplished in your life. So should we do this first? This is
We should have a picture.
And this is not it, okay? Following the Chinese tradition, so the Renwen has prepared a piece of calligraphic work in a vertical line of 4 characters dedicated to you, Dr. Chao. Thank you. Our reverence to you, Dr. Chao, is well reflected in the line that reads, 德善流芳 in Chinese. Ever redolent are your virtue and humanity in English. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much, Dr. Chao. And may we be the first ones to congratulate you. Thank you. We got to be the first ones to congratulate you. So now, I will. I've been waiting for this moment. Okay, so Dr. Chao has kindly consented to give what I call a few fleeting thoughts of wisdom to us. I'm very eager to hear it. How about you? Good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now, here I have Dr. James Chao to give us a few lines of instructions in life, about life, and words of wisdom.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival to everybody. First, I want to thank from my deep heart to China Institute. Our relationship started 60 years ago when I was a student, a very fellow student. I always going to China Institute, enjoy their free Chinese tea, like this kind of special festival season. They will put some cookies on the table. It's a big treat for me. So thanks again. Thanks again. China Institute. Even 60 years later, I still remember it. Like yesterday. So you can see you did so good job. It's not only me, I think you benefited so many people. Congratulations to you, especially 90th anniversary. Congratulations. Wishing you have another 9 more success in the future. Thank you. From the video we just see, you know I came from a small village, only 9 families. But we had a very, very nice life. Because China, you know, Chinese people, very kind, harmonious, hearted, oriented people. So we enjoyed so much, especially my childhood, until 1937. We had unfortunately the Sino-Japanese War, so destroyed everything. Well, today, I still remember, we don't know where is the dinner. It's not because we don't know where is the dinner, because we don't have the right to cook. This kind of situation through 20 years. But thanks Chinese give us the spirit. Regardless of what kind of situation, whole heart or will is still there, never change, always maintain strong. So this, I want to thank our country Thank you, China. Just my country educated me, made me possible to can make a better life in the United States. Then I also wanted to thank the United States of America. This country gave me the opportunity. Make a small boy from the farm can do something for himself, for his family, or if possible, I hope I can do something for society, and even for the world. Follow China Institute's goal, follow China Institute's purpose, make the world better. Thank you. I think we have answered questions. We can talk more. So thank you again. Give me this chance to thank you, to show my appreciation. Again, thanks. 谢谢。
The next speaker, my friends, is another one of our prominent guests of honor, Miss May Chao.
Hello, I'm May Chao, and I'm honored to be with all of you here this afternoon. Congratulations to the Renwen Society, China Institute, and the Confucius Institute of the SUNY College of Optometry for your marvelous work, from your Saturday afternoon lecture series to your many different programs on languages and culture. As Dr. Hanowitz said earlier today, we live in a really increasingly complex, complicated, and global world. And it's really essential that we learn to get along with each other, understand each other for world harmony and world peace. In fact, growing up in a large family, my parents, Dr. James Si-Cheng Chao and Mrs. Ruth Mulan Shu Chao, always emphasized being inclusive, getting to know each other better, how we think, how we feel, what we do in life, and in this way we can become better friends and have lasting relationships. I think this is also a cornerstone of the Renwen Society, China Institute, and the Confucius Institute of SUNY College of Optometry. So I want to wish you continued success on all the marvelous work that you do well into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chao. When I use the phrase, some fleeting thoughts of wisdom, I think all these words of wisdom are coming in our direction, and for that, I'm very grateful. Thank you, May. So, this event will not be complete, as I'm sure you will agree, without hearing from the Honorable Madam Secretary Elaine Chao.
我父亲是上海人的，你们都知道的。我想，如果我在这边的话，他一定要跟我讲：第一，我们非常非常感谢你们都来了，而且今天是礼拜六，大家应该休息的时候，所以我们非常感谢。第二，不敢当，真的不敢当。我们家甚至跟你们家的也是一样的。我们来了这么多年，是因为我们中国人的传统、中国人的文化是最重要的。而且我父亲，他一天到晚都是跟他的小孩子讲，在中国文化，家是最重要的。所以我们今天是有今天，是因为我的父母，他们的乐观，他们的想法， 都是给我们的。所以我跟我父亲讲，我以为今天的都是外国人，可是我看到好多中国面孔，所以他会说你应该讲中国话的。可是我来的今天，我是来的很小的，我是只有8岁的时候来的。你刚刚听到的，我是跟我母亲，而且2个妹妹，就是老3在那，老2现在已经走了。我们来的时候啊，那时候好紧张啊。我们那几年刚开始的时候，吃了很多苦，而且我是8岁的，我是老大，所以我还看着我的母亲、父亲，我还记得。他们真的是为家吃了很多苦的。那时候我们好担心啊，但我们不会讲英文，所以费好多时间学英文。谁想到这么多年以后，中文有问题了？所以非常抱歉，不讲话的话还是比较方便你用英文，所以。我先还是用一点英文，然后再问我的父亲讲一些中文。We live in such a, as my sister May Chao said, in such a globalized economy. I think for the Asian American community, our time has come. Our country is increasingly diverse. Our country now numbers about 17% Hispanic Americans, 14% African Americans, and about 6%, 5.7% Asian Americans. In 20 years, America will be a minority-majority population. That means that no racial group will have a predominance of a majority presence in our country. And one of the greatest reasons as to why America is the strong country that it is today is because of its multicultural population. I was at a very elite gathering at Davos, World Economic Forum, and I gave a speech saying at that time that because there was a great deal of concern about America. I said to this very elite gathering of Europeans, you have nothing to fear from America because we are you are us. Every single population throughout the whole world is represented in America. And our competitive strength rests on the fact that we understand every single culture throughout the world. So we are able to be competitive because we understand and we have representatives within our borders who are American citizens who understand every culture around the world. So the diversity of our country will only increase. And for those of us who have been here or new immigrants, our country, America, needs our strengths, our understanding, our cultures. So number one, what I tell groups overall is don't be afraid. You look at us now and you might think, oh, the Chao family must have had so many advantages. We have lots of blessings and we are very grateful for them. But it's been a long and hard journey as well. And I remember how frightened I was when I first came to America and also when I first left school. I was frightened because I had to make my parents proud. I had to be a good example to my sisters because we're so locked up. And so I want to reassure everyone who's new to America, number one, don't be afraid. America is a very open and energetic country. And so long as you have energy and you have motivation, you will do very well in this society. But to do well does require certain skills. And so number one of the skills include communications. We come from a culture that does not emphasize expression, speaking out, because we are a very old and hierarchical culture that emphasizes respect for our elders and a respect for one another. So we don't talk very much because we're always being considerate and listening. So I say, for Asian Americans, we're about 90% intake, 10% output. Well, we live in a society that's 90% output and 10% input, if that. So there's a cultural disconnect. And I think in this country, it's important to speak out, to express oneself, because this country is made up of so many different people from all over the world, so many different cultures. And communications, open and overt communications, written and verbal, are very important in bridging the communication gaps of all these different cultures here in America. So number one, don't be afraid. Number two, emphasize emphasize communications. That's part of the skills. I'm mixing up the numbering a bit, but to make it easier, number one is don't be afraid. Number two, communication skills are important. Number three, Americans really emphasize teamwork. So for a lot of Asian Americans, when we first come to America, we're so hungry. We're so intense. We want to emphasize, and be able to break out of the pack. But Americans, if you're a manager, you measure not only the person's ability to do the task, but also their ability to work in a team. Because Americans work in a team, and as our world becomes more complicated and more complex, the teamwork is really important. So I, as a manager, very oftentimes do see young people who want to break out, who are so intense, then they forget to emphasize that they can also work in a team. So the teamwork is important. Number four, there are cultural differences. And I've been a leader in the nonprofit, for-profit, nonprofit sector, a government sector, and there are cultural differences. And so I think it's really important for Asian Americans and all Americans that are outside of mainstream America to enter into mainstream America and not be hesitant to do so. So I tell a lot of young Asian Americans, no one is going to invite you in. 没有人会请你的。如果你有兴趣的话，一定要进去，自己进去。So you must have the courage, the interest to enter into any club, any area that you want to. So I invite people to enter the nonprofit sector because the nonprofit sector is a very easy field to enter and to practice leadership skills. So for example, if you want to enter a club and work your way up to being the president or whatever, and if you're interested in cancer or if you're interested in any kind of specific cause, don't be hesitant. Just go and volunteer. And if you do a bad job, what are they going to do to you? Fire you? You're a volunteer. And if it doesn't work out and you're not interested, go on to something else. So volunteering is a very easy way to practice leadership skills because in a nonprofit organization, people are encouraged to speak out. There's very strong interaction. Most nonprofits are also very egalitarian. So someone from a lesser position can speak up just as someone from a higher position. And that brings to my next point, number 6. We come from a very hierarchical society. That is part of our background, and it has wonderful strengths. On the other hand, going into American mainstream society, which is very egalitarian, we need to be more comfortable speaking out regardless of hierarchy. One of the reasons why America is so effective is because the communications occurs rapidly and very effectively, irrespective, relatively speaking, of hierarchy. So when something goes wrong, the communication can come out and occur to correct the wrong very, very quickly. Another point also, I would say, is have self-confidence. My father is incredible. I always marvel at how my father was able to have the courage, and my mother, the determination to come to a new country and to have the courage that they do. My father is very humble, very modest, and he says that he comes from a family of a village of 9 families. So I often wonder, how does he get the courage to leave his little village of 9 families, to go to school, to gain the scholarships that he has, to be able to go to Taiwan, to come to America, to start a whole new life? And the first 3 years that he was here, he did not have my mother, nor us. And so my father credits the love of my mother and his belief in the Lord to having the courage to come here to start a new life. And so to young people in this room, I counsel this. You will have difficulties in your life. There's no doubt about that. So find something within your own life that will give you courage and strength. And so what I have is a little picture of my father's village. And I took it when I went there for the very first time in 1979 after the opening of China. And in this little picture, 4x6, it has chickens, and it has, little pigs. And I say to myself, when I face difficulty, if my father can overcome these kinds of adversities, if my mother can overcome leaving her home, a very distinguished home in Anhui province, and then go to Nanjing, and then go to Shanghai, all in an effort to find security, and then to go to Taiwan, and then come to America and be with my father, I say to myself, if my parents have the strength and the fortitude to do this, I do as well. Because their blood runs in my veins. And I also come from 5,000 years of history. So that gave me a great deal of strength when I was climbing up and advancing in my career. So my last point is this, because I want to make sure that you have a chance to talk to my father, because he is fascinating and full of wisdom. Because our country is becoming so diverse, and because Asia is increasing in prominence, America wants to learn more about Asia and about us. So we have a wonderful opportunity to share our cultural values, our heritage, our history, our philosophy, to enable the rest of America to understand more about an increasingly important part of the world. So you have a lot to be proud of, and you have a gift to share with the rest of America. And if you think about it, if you have a gift to share with others, how much more confident you will be. And our country needs the wisdom and the thinking of you in this room to help the rest of America understand Chinese culture, Chinese philosophy, Chinese heritage, Chinese history. And those in this room, you in this room, have so much to share with America. You have so much to teach that you should feel confident that you have so much to contribute to America. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Not only am I inspired, it got me to think. Because personally, I am both American and Chinese. And I have always been a proud person, or I've always felt proud of myself, but never prouder than tonight. And also, if I may be so bold as to add another word in the Honorable someone is very impressed. I would like to very presumptuously add another word to the title of the Honorable Madam Secretary. That is the Honorable and Courageous Madam Secretary. Do you agree? She teaches us the word courage, and I also think it takes courage to go through life, period. Courage is the most important thing, whether it's in politics or in social science or the more important in poetry and literature, and that is my field. I have to make a remedy before when we present the crystal, the lovely, I'm sorry to say this, I now sound like an American, the lovely crystal award to Dr. Chao. We did not, I didn't know where the calligraphy was. So in a panic, I asked someone, dear one, and she said, it's right after you. I said, right after me is the curtain. She says, behind the curtain. So it's never too late. It's never too late. I'm so sorry. It's all my Now we're going to start a very interesting segment, because I know, I can tell from the expressions on your faces. You have a lot of questions to ask. We don't have that much time, but I try to squeeze everybody in. So now let's start our question and answer segment. So if you have questions, I will try to see if I can convince our guests of honor to answer them, okay? So you better be counting your luck. as I am counting my luck. So if you have questions, ask away. Yes, the lady there.
So thank you for Mr. and Mrs. Chao for the inspiring speech. And my name is Sydney, and actually I'm attending the high school. You're attending the Great Neck South High School. So here's my question. As a female Asian here in the U.S., how should we break the gender and the racial barrier we have now and make people trust us? And another question I have to ask is, for the upcoming November election, what are your takes on the policies the two candidates? So what policies do you think the two candidates your favorite they will imply is favorable for the country, especially for the Asian population? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Why don't I address the first part, being female? I think as Secretary Chao said, this is such a wonderful country because there's a lot of strength in the diversity, whether you're a person of color, whether you're Asian, whether you're Hispanic, male or female. There's so many opportunities, and as my parents taught us, we will always look at the bright side of things and see what's possible and be optimistic. And I think if one looks outward instead of inward so much, it really gives you a lot of inspiration and energy. So that's one factor. And as Secretary said, you have so much to contribute to the world. That should give you a lot of impetus to go out and do whatever you would like to pursue in life.
I think the elections are very confusing. But each candidate won their primary fair and square through a primary process in which they got the most votes. So the American people will see on November 8th, which is Election Day. Election Day is always the second Tuesday in November. So it will change, but it's always the second Tuesday every November. And the American people will cast their vote, and we will see the new president after that day.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm one of the Chinese teacher. Here I want to ask Mr. Chao Baba, how old are you? Because you look so good.
Where's your technician? Who's the technician here?
The young lady.
Why don't you take a look at his? No, I know how to do it. You just have to turn it on. It's on mute. Close. You cannot. Lovely. You cannot. Okay, this is another lesson. If you've been on stage as much as I have, you cannot have three lavaliers too close together. It will clash. So he'll have to use the mic.
First of all, it's a very bold question. And don't ask me, okay?
Many people ask this kind of question. I don't know how to answer it. Because we have several ways to count it. I think the Chinese way, I'm 90. But one thing I can tell you, I still keep swimming. 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
A day.
A day. Every day. Without stopping.
Thank you so You see how kind he is. Yeah, other than being eminent and wise, he's kind. If I were him, I would say, I don't remember. Next question, the lady in white, who raised your hand before.
谢谢，非常感谢。那我这个问题是想提给赵小兰女士的。是这样子，就是刚才您的演讲非常的 inspiring， 就是您提到说我们现在年轻人要有勇气、有自信，去向西方社会去展现我们中国的文化。其实西方世界也在很好奇，那是什么样的一种文化、哲学和历史在背后去支撑了中国这么迅速的崛起。那么我们现在呢，我是一个 startup， 就是我们自己在创立一个团队。那我们也是希望用一种商业化的方式，将西方的文化去呈现，将中国人自己的文化去呈现在这个西方社会。那和就是 Chinese Studio 会有点不一样。我们在做一个商业化的探索，它不是一个 non-profit 的形式，而更多的是 business driven 的。所以我这里想提问一下小兰女士，就是您给我们这样的年轻人，就是非常热爱中国文化，非常希望把我们自己 so proud of 我们自己的东西去呈现给世界，那又想用一种商业化的方式去运作，有什么样的建议？就是您刚刚提到的团队啊，然后我们现在有个特别棒的团队一起在努力工作，特别 appreciate 您说的团队的 teamwork 和我们的 passion 和 determination。那除此之外，还有没有一些其他的建议能够给到我们？非常感谢。
I didn't understand your question about 商业是吗？商业是 business.
Yeah, it's like business.
I'm not the person to ask about business. 你再讲一次。
Okay. The reason why I asked to you because I'm really inspired by your speech.
You should ask my father.
Yeah.
你再讲一次。
Okay, so you prefer me Chinese 说中文 ？Okay. 就 James 非常感谢，就是我这个问题就是能不能就是向您请教，就是我们作为就是其实也是 so proud of 我们自己的中国的文化，然后我们也非常的自信，想向西方社会去展现我们自己特别美的中国的文化，然后我们希望呢是用一种商业化的方式。去呈现，因为来到这里后发现很多其他的国家，像日本啊，甚至泰国，他们自己的文化在这里用商业化的方式都做得很好，但是中国人还没有自己一个非常成功的用商业化的模式把自己的文化去呈现在西方社会的这么一个 case。
I think the best way is you have to listen to him, how he started his business.
May I answer? I'm so sorry. I think the only way is to make our culture interesting. Now, I'm as old. I'm older than Dr. Chao. Why are you applauding? You should be lamenting.
Thank you guys so much for making the time to come. I'm really impressed by your dedication both to education and to the advancement of Asian Americans in this country. So what I'm trying to do right now is to start a mentorship program for Asian Americans to make sure that they simulate and become leaders of this country. I was wondering whether there were, between all these programs of education that you guys are dedicated to, whether there's a way for us to potentially partner to make this dream come true. Thanks.
We also have their specific goals in place. So I hope you go on the website. My website is www.elainechao.com, and then we also have formalsfoundation.com, and hope you go on it.
I still remember 7 years ago, I was a master's student in Fudan University. Listened to your speech in Fudan. What is, you said Chinese heart, American love, and world harmony. And 7 years later, I was a master's student learning nonprofit management in Columbia University. And still, again, I'm here listen to your speech, so I'm very honored to do that. And my question is, so what do you think is the motivations and also the basic and also the philosophy in the United States to run so many, nonprofit foundations, charitable organizations? And what do you think, like me, I can bring back to China and what we can learn from the United States? Thank you.
不可否认的，我们中国有中国5000多年的历史，它的基本基础是非常深刻的。可是也不可否认，这个100年以来，我们中国受到西洋文化的影响，这是不是可以估计的？不管哪个正确，不管哪个思想，最终的目标都是希望有个美好的生活。这是方法不同而已，有的方法比较激烈，有的方法比较顽固。哪个是对是坏，靠人靠着说法。不过，照我私人的看法，我们总有一天会达到我们的目的。可是，我有一点，我觉得我们中国人应该表扬一下。我们有这种铁铲木人针，只要功夫深，铁铲木人针这是对的。这个要陈钢皮打铁不行，这个也是对的。可是时代的进步，我们用不到一定要花那么多的钱，我们用不到花那么多的精力，我们应该说 enjoy 一种快乐、享受的过程，这是西方的方法，从享受里面来去制定。Enjoy it, to get the improvement from the enjoyment. It's not only from the hardship. It's not only just the other to destroy something, to create something. We can do both without the conflict. That's the culture of the human being. I like that.
Hi, my name is Claire. I also immigrated to America from China when I was 8 years old, and I'm also the eldest sister in my family. I'm asking your family for some advice. I have younger brothers and sisters. They are 13 years old, and they're into the arts. And when I came to America, I was very lucky to have been instilled with a very deep love for Chinese culture, and I'm fluent in both Chinese and English. Unfortunately, my brother and sister are not. And we've been having a tug of war at home, me and my parents. I think that Chinese education is very important for them. My parents, being Chinese parents, of course, are more worried about their math. So I was wondering if you guys maybe had some words of wisdom for me to tell my father and mother. 赵小兰女士今天告诉我，我们家应该多注重中文教育。
能成功，能够这样子，那是非常幸运。可是世界上面的事情，它一定有它的成因。你看一朵花，从那泥土里面，你不能够把它拉起来的，一定要给它时间让它自己成长。就要是孩子也是一样，兄弟姊妹、自己的子女，都要是他们的自己的兴趣，自己发展。可是你有指望，你可给他们引导。我来跟你们谈谈我自己的经验。我因为有好的太太，所以 我的小孩子都非常听话，这是他们妈妈的功劳，我是感觉到非常感谢。那个时候，我就跟他讲，妈妈treated her children wonderfully. But as a father, sometimes have some kind of dream, some kind of high expectation. Like this daughter. She's doing so well. Even today, is a wonderful daughter. I don't think you can find a very easy daughter like my People said my life is always the best. I will tell you my children is the best. When she was in college, she always got the award, prize. So I was so happy. So I said, well, you can be keep this, but don't overjoy. You should be happy. You should keep joy, but keep still working hard. Not only hard, working nice. Then you can be something, anything you can want. Unfortunately, your work wasn't born here. You were not born here. You can't become the president of the United States. But you can be the secretary of the staff. Everybody laughs. We are living in one bedroom apartment. That's our situation. We have dream. We always have dream. So dream is good. Expectation is good. But to be realistic, and I would also fuel my students step by step. Don't make the expectation or go too high. That's always hard to get. Let's enjoy it. Put the stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage, fifth stage. People only enjoy one happiness. If we do this way, we can enjoy 5 happiness. Is it better? Yeah, I think it's better. Thank you.
So my question is, what does philanthropy mean to you? This is a question for 3 of you. What does philanthropy mean to you, and how do you approach philanthropy differently across generations? Thank you.
中文就是，我想他们3位都是慈善家，我想知道他们3位，对他们来说，公益慈善对他们意味着什么？然后他们在不同的代际之间，这个慈善对他们意味着什么？
But we're just starting out. They were always motivated by the Chinese philosophy of contribution to society. So that is the basis of their philanthropic giving. But I think you really should listen to my father. I listen whenever I can.
This I have to. I think maybe because they are. I think I have to start from the beginning. And I was very I met a very nice young girl. And very pretty. Not only pretty, also very smart. This all came to me. And one thing against me. I came from a small farm family. It's just coming from decent family. But this girl is coming from a very rich family. So family background will be different. And because I loved her, I made a decision. I wanted to get his heart for her. So I did it. Now, both backgrounds totally different. But unfortunately, we always really talk together, discuss things. And we found that we have difference so big. So either we can get together by love. Where we can make the love, where we can find the love, is understanding. It's the mutual communication. 中国人讲贵是沟通，沟通什么东西呢？ We found best factor, best function is education. So when we first came into COVID, first went back to China, the first idea is this: China is a backward so much. They need education. So in that time we are not very rich. But my wife made a decision, set a foundation. The foundation started in 1984. At that time, China government doesn't know what's the meaning of foundation. We are the first one. So far, now we are, let's say, at least 5,000 students in the United States and in China benefited. So that's the situation we stand, because we believe the education. We believe the education can make the world better. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, needless to say, I am quite overwhelmed with our own event as never before. As I was listening to our guests of honor and the honoree today, I couldn't help thinking of my fondest composer, Johann Sebastian Bach, and his sons, which numbers at 20. And as Bach's music composed by the members of that memorable family, the saga of glory and success of Dr. James B. Chao will be passed on from generations to generations, I am sure. Thank you so much for coming. I have my last request. Please remain being seated when we usher our guests of honor to another quarter of this hall. Please forgive us. Thank you.